Mr. Jacob, first of all, thank you for coming to this podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Can you give a brief introduction so people who are watching the podcast can know you better?
So my name's Jacob Ruecker. My channel, I teach people how to optimize their hormones, optimize their health, optimize different areas of their fitness. One of the primary goals of my channel is to increase people's testosterone. I tested my testosterone. I am in the top 1% of testosterone levels. I have a 934 nanograms a deciliter of testosterone. So that's really what inspired me to start teaching people what exactly I do, what has helped me improve my testosterone, things like that.
Amazing. I actually have a question for you.
Yes.
When you started your journey, like when you started increasing your testosterone, it was low then. First of all, what was your testosterone when you started to like see, yo shit, this my testosterone is low as fuck, I have to increase it.
I didn't originally get it tested, but the reason I know it was lower before versus after is because one, when I started training, I wasn't optimizing my testosterone. And most people say that newbie gains the first year you should make a majority of your gains. First year you should make way more gains. The first year of training, I made a lot of progress, and I also had gyno, and I had just a few issues with my were showing. And then the second year I started optimizing my testosterone, and I actually gained way more muscle the second year I started doing all of those things. So that's my reason behind thinking that the testosterone optimization actually worked and is the reason my testosterone is at this level. And everything I bring up has been researched, so it there is a reason behind everything I
Hmm.
bring up that does increase your testosterone.
Okay, first of all, what is the definition of testosterone? Because a lot of men in India, they don't even think that testosterone is an important thing.
So testosterone is a hormone inside of your body. It's the male sex steroid hormone. What it does is it basically masculinizes your brain and body. So as far as your brain, the main effect on it is to allow you to tolerate more stress and allow your stress levels to stay relatively low in a higher stress environment compared to somebody with lower levels of testosterone. And it allows you to handle many more situations. So a lot of people say only your free testosterone matters, and that's not exactly true because most of the testosterone that's binded up is being converted to estrogen. Your body aims for a 20 to 1 testosterone to estrogen ratio. And the more testosterone that gets converted to estrogen, the more masculinized your brain is going to be, and the more testosterone is going to play a role on your
Hmm.
brain. Now, the other role of testosterone is on your body. It acts at the androgen receptors. So I'll likely mention those a little bit later, but it acts on your androgen receptors, allow your body to have more protein synthesis. Somebody with higher testosterone is going to build more muscle in a shorter time frame compared to somebody with less testosterone.
Why is testosterone important for male health?
I'd say it's the biggest factor on whether you achieve your goals in life, whether it's physical, mental, financially. I think testosterone, the effect it has on you is going to be a game changer. I mean, there's been studies on the amount of stress you could tolerate, and the more stress you could tolerate, the more likely you are to be successful. And as I mentioned a second ago, stress is the biggest mental factor that testosterone has on you. It could prevent stress very well. So somebody with higher testosterone is really just going to be able to go about their goals much more effectively. They're going to be much more driven. Another effect of testosterone mentally is it makes effort feel good. So somebody with lower testosterone is going to really struggle to be working hard, and there's always going to be things that you don't like to do, but in general, somebody with higher testosterone is going to feel much better when putting in more effort.
It improves your work ethic, and you work
Yes,
better, you
correct.
handle stress better, and any other thing that you do in your life, it just becomes better because of testosterone.
Exactly.
Actually had some signs of low testosterone way back in 2020 when I used to just sit around and play video games for like 18 hours every single day because I wanted to become an esport player and I was actually making progress. I got a sponsorship. I actually was invited to a tournament, but I didn't go because I was underage. But at that point, I was experiencing low signs of testosterone because in gaming, the job is you just sit and you just play. That's all. I started going to the boxing at that time and I was trying very hard to improve. I was trying very hard to become physically attractive, but it was actually very hard to put on some muscle and get athletic.
Yeah. And I'm sure you noticed it just carrying over throughout your life once you started increasing it. It really, everything
Exactly.
just became
It changes.
easier almost. Like what you wanted started actually happening, right?
One thing I felt is I started feeling a lot better just randomly sitting and doing nothing and I was feeling better. I was feeling good.
I believe that's something many people experience when they start doing the things to increase your testosterone. I believe once you start doing it, you have this cloud lifted off your head. You have to experience it to really know what it's like. I don't know why, I don't know the reasoning, but I know when I started boosting my testosterone, I was just able to think much clearer and life got easier to go through effectively.
So, what are some signs of low testosterone?
A big one is low energy, you don't want to move, you're really sluggish. Another one is you're struggling to build much muscle. You go to the gym, you really are stuck in that skinny fat state. You feel like your effort isn't going anywhere. And then another thing is just not being driven.
Hmm.
A big part of testosterone is it really puts your mind into a drive towards achieving things. And when you don't have high testosterone, when you have low levels of testosterone, you're going to feel way less driven because so the reason testosterone exists in nature in most animal cases is because it, it's the hormone that drives you to reproduce with a female animal to compete for animals to compete with each other, the males to compete for the female. So what it's going to do is really going to drive you towards being able to compete.
You said one thing is you will feel sluggish and would like to you will not build muscle.
Yes.
So does testosterone play a significant role in like physical performance?
Oh, yeah. It plays a very significant role. It's the most important thing towards building muscle. It's what increases your protein synthesis levels the most.
Oh,
And a lot, what you're going to hear a lot when you're researching how to build more muscle is you're going to hear simple things such as sleep, diet, all these things that you would expect. But the reason all of those are listed, or a primary reason, is because they all support your testosterone levels. So people who have these things in line that you hear about are going to have higher levels of testosterone. They're
hmm.
going to have a higher protein synthesis rate, which just means you are building more muscle from the same amount of training as somebody else.
Yes, that makes sense. Okay, so currently, Jacob, what's your testosterone right now?
My testosterone currently is 934. I'm going to get it retested in a couple weeks, so pretty soon I'm just gotta go to my doctor and
Hmm.
order another test.
Do you think reaching 1000 nanograms per deciliters is a realistic goal? Or do you think that is unrealistic? Because you have already reached 900 plus. And for you, it might be easy. It might be very easy to reach 1000. But do you think the average guy can reach 1000?
I certainly think it's possible. What I'm going to say is I think around 900 is a lot easier to reach than 1,000 because about 50 years ago, it may have been 1950, either 1950 or 50 years ago, testosterone was about on average around 900, and that was before all the issues came into our society that are crashing testosterone. So I believe we could really shoot to eliminate all those issues and go ahead and shoot for around 900. And I believe a good amount of people could shoot for 1,000, but I think 900 is the realistic goal that's possible for everybody, no matter who you are, if you just optimize the situation you are in.
You said 50 years ago, the average testosterone was 900. So what do you think? What are the changes? Like what lifestyle changes are there? Now the average is I think 200 to 400.
Yes, the big changes that have happened in our society since then is first of all diet. In diet we see a rapid increase in the amount of sugars we are eating. Sugar greatly stunts testosterone. If you consume 60 grams of sugar, then it blunts your testosterone by 25% for the next 4 hours. So, and if you're consistently eating sugar, then over time it's going to take a toll on your testosterone levels. They're going to be chronically lower because you are eating constant levels of sugar. And the thing is, when most people hear this, they think of the sticker where it just says the amount of grams of sugar on the label. But you have to realize a lot of fast, high glycemic index carbs. So carbs often quickly convert to sugar inside of your body, and that causes your testosterone to drop also. So this doesn't necessarily mean 60 grams of sugar itself. It means 60 grams of carbs being converted to sugar is going to have the same effect. So the diet that we are slanting towards, the diet that people are pushing away, they're saying we need to consume less fats. Fats are giving you heart issues. Well, testosterone is like people eating more fats, the countries with a higher fat consumption are having less heart issues. And that's because, well, they're simply healthier. Their body is in the state of a high testosterone individual. They're able to maintain their hormones like their body should because they're not eating all these sugars, not eating all these processed foods. Processed foods is another issue that came into the equation. The big issue with processed foods is when it's processed, you lose all the micronutrients. So you're getting way less nutrients out of your food, and all these nutrients are needed to support your testosterone levels. Your body's very complex. We all know that. So it's very important that you get all these nutrients that you don't get in processed foods. And then the one other thing is plastics. There's been a lot more plastics in our life, which is an androgen disruptor. It's an estrogenic. It's going to increase your estrogen, which in hand is going to blunt your testosterone.
So wait a second. Does eating carbs, more carbs, decreases your testosterone?
It's not that simple, but in general, yes, if you are consuming too much carbs, specifically higher glycemic index carbs. So think one thing people think is super good for you is rice. Rice may be decent before a workout because you're using the high glycemic index to actually utilize the sugars, but rice very quickly gets converted to sugar within your body or glucose. So things that you could Google high glycemic index carbs at whoever watches this, and you'll be able to see what carbs you should be avoiding if you are eating higher levels of carbs.
What are the different types of carbs? Like, okay, I understand there is processed food, there is rice, but in India we have roti. that is called a chapati, and it is good in fiber. We have oats, that is good in fiber, but that also includes carbs. So should we completely avoid carbs? Or should we just avoid rice, rotis, chapatis, and get carbs from fruits like banana, apple, or like oats?
You really need to know the ingredients that are in what you're eating because I'm not too sure what that dish is, but really
Hmm.
all you need to do is look up the glycemic index.
Chapati just has wheat.
So you'd Google that and Google the glycemic index of that, and then you'll go ahead and look at it. Anything above 50 is really high on the glycemic
Hmm.
index, so that's something you want to eat before a workout. Aim for around 20, I believe. I'm not too versed on the glycemic index, so just do your own research on that.
If there is a vegetarian and he wants to go on a zero carb diet or a low carb diet, what options does he have? Like, he cannot compromise on his diet because that might um, decrease his testosterone. Because if you compromise, it might decrease their testosterone. So if a person is vegetarian, because a lot of Indians are vegetarians, and I also struggle with this. I'm not vegetarian, but yeah, in some days I have to eat only veg. What foods are there that have low carbs and also gives good protein?
I'm gonna be honest, most of my content is towards a more carnivore style diet, things with animal fat. So naming vegetarian items is hard for me. So what I will say is if you're eating higher fiber carbs, what's those are normally going to be lower on the glycemic index, and fiber is good for your gut microbiome, which has positive effects throughout your body. If you're really just aiming for positive effects throughout your body, you're going to have higher testosterone than if you're just randomly eating things with no goal in mind. So, what I would recommend is if you are eating a carb source, make sure that you are eating something that's higher in fiber, or really just know exactly what your goal of eating that is.
So if we go on a completely carnivore diet, only meat diet, eggs, butter, and meat, like in India, we eat chicken, fish, and mutton. We do not eat steak here. So by going to a complete carnivore diet, zero carbs, does that increases our testosterone or does that increases our work ethic? Because I've noticed it. I did carnivore diet for like 3 days. After that, I could not sustain it. I felt hungry and I broke my diet. So I actually saw
Yes.
some changes. I actually saw my focus getting better. My attention span is getting more better and I didn't get brain fog. That was one benefit. But I was only able to sustain it for 3 days. I didn't went for like 1 week. But you are currently following a zero carb diet, carnivore diet. Am I right?
I'm not currently, but I
Okay.
have recently. I did,
Okay.
like you said, it's hard to sustain. So I did it for a set period of time. I set out 21 days, and that is exactly what I was setting for. And my point of that was to really just experience it because I have my own experience of it. And like you said, it was honestly probably the hardest thing of my life to sustain for the full 21 days. But because, well, you're gonna feel this weird sort of hunger. You're going to not want to eat any more of the foods you could eat. You're gonna be craving carbs, and that goes away around, for me, it was around day 10-ish, that craving goes away. And what you're going to notice after a few days is that your brain, like you said, is much clearer. Your physical physical exertion is going to be a bit lower at the start because your body's running off of fats, not carbs. Carbs are a more effective immediate source of energy. So there are pros and cons to it. What I would say, if you are not trying to go on a carnivore diet, which the fat's crucial on, I'd say go on an elimination diet, which is just minimizing the amount of ingredients in your diet and picking out exactly what you could eat. Get your list to around 20 ingredients or lower, and do research on all these ingredients, know their intention. I mean, specific ingredients, I'm saying. So salt would be one ingredient. This doesn't mean you could season those ingredients with other items. If it's seasoned with something, that's one of your ingredients. But the point of this is one, you're going to be avoiding processed foods, and two, your carbs are all going to have a reason inside of your diet. If you select, say, potatoes, then you know your potatoes are going to be the food that you're eating before your workout. If you select chicken, you know that's going to be your main source of protein.
Okay, can exercise alone boost your testosterone? If a person is just doing exercise and nothing else, can that boost his testosterone?
Yes, it does boost your testosterone. There's a few there's a few things that could stunt this testosterone increase, such as being dehydrated. So if you are dehydrated when you do this exercise, I'm actually doing a video on this right now. If you are dehydrated when you exercise, then it's going to prevent your testosterone from being spiked during that exercise. So I recommend you stay hydrated when you do that exercise. And what's going to increase it more is more strenuous activities.
Hmm.
So the person who's pushing harder and closer to failure in general, a briefer period of time is better. So going for a 30-minute run is going to increase your testosterone less than going for a real brief, say 12 reps inside of the gym, 5 reps, whatever. You get the point. The shorter, more strenuous pieces of time are going to boost your testosterone more than longer periods of time.
I've seen some people, they go to the gym every single day, they train very hard,
Yes.
but their testosterone is actually lower than the people who smoke, who doesn't do shit, who just sits around, and maybe they have work to do or something. How's that possible? That guy is training very hard in the gym, and that another guy who's not even doing anything. Another bad thing is he's doing a bad habit, which is smoking. His testosterone is higher than the guy who's going to the gym, working out, lifting heavy. How is that possible?
So some of us are more resistant to things within our environment that are crashing our testosterone than others. It really just depends on the history of your bloodline and how exactly your body has adapted and how long your body's been around certain things. Most of us cannot handle the things in our modern environment, and that's what's really stunting you. Your testosterone levels, even if you are increasing them, that doesn't mean they're playing a role on the androgen receptor or increasing the amount of muscle you're building. So you need to, one, you, androgen receptors are solely genetic. The amount of androgen receptors you have in your body, there's only a single way that you could increase the amount of androgen receptors inside of your body, and that's through this supplement right here. It's L-carnitine L-taurate. Can you
That's
see that?
natural, right? Yeah, I can see it.
Yes, it is completely natural, but what it does is it increases the amount of androgen receptors in your body. If you do take around 4,000 milligrams. It's going to seem really high, but the reason behind that is because it's not very bioavailable through your dietary consumption. And one thing I will mention, most people actually inject it through a shot. Not most people, but many people do, and this is to avoid TMAO. TMAO has been speculated to be cancerous in the stomach. It's not proven, but it's speculated, so I just want to give that warning. If you do take it, take around 4,000 milligrams, and you'd have more androgen receptors within your body. And
Hmm.
then back to your original question of what else the guy smoking compared to the guy in the gym, what else could be screwing over the guy in the gym, that all the estrogenics in your environment, that's the part that's also really genetic, your ability to handle estrogenics. So you really just want to eliminate those estrogenics. Main thing is plastic. A lot of people hear that milk is good. Don't be drinking milk because it has a high concentration of estrogen. And then really just, I have a list, hold up. So anything with BPAs inside of them, you really want to avoid. Also, a reverse osmosis water filter is pretty good to be getting because what it does is it filters the estrogenics out of your water. If anybody didn't know, you have estrogen inside of your water, which is the female sex steroid hormone, which is blunting your testosterone's effects. So you want to get a water filter. There's ends you could go for. The cheapest is going to be a desktop distiller. It's going to take a while, but what this does is it heats up the water, makes it evaporate, and then it drips down that evaporated water, and all of that dripped water is going to be clean of estrogen.
Hmm.
And then you could also get a charcoal filter. The best brand for that is Barkey. They don't have plastics in it. And then for a reverse osmosis filter, you could get AquaTrue.
Those brands might not be available be in India. In India, I think there are reverse osmosis. First is Kent. I actually use Kent. It is a brand, and most of the Indians they have reverse osmosis, which is actually impressive. I didn't know that normal water included estrogen.
So most people end up having the filter because they need it.
What are the natural ways to increase testosterone? Like I know some natural tea booster. First is the one you showed it to me. I forgot the name already, man. It was so complex. Second is ashwagandha and shilajit.
Ashwagandha.
What's your
You're
opinion on
asking
that?
if you should take it?
Yeah.
So what ashwagandha is going to do is it's going to prevent you from getting a cortisol release or really just stunting the cortisol release inside of your body. And cortisol is the main hormone that stunts testosterone on top of estrogen. So the benefit of it, it's going to give you less stress. You're going to feel way more numb to stressful things. And then the issue with it is the exact same thing. You're going to feel a lot more numb. That's what people experience after a long time. And then the second issue with it is a lot of people think that you just want to have low cortisol at all times, which is not true. Cortisol is what mobilizes energy inside of your body. It's going to get you going in the morning. If you're really stuck in bed when you first wake up, that's because your cortisol hasn't been boosted first thing in the morning. So there's a lot of ways you could do that. But my point is, you don't want to take ashwagandha in the morning. If you are taking it, take it before bed, and you're going to feel your transition to sleep is much more effective. Your brain isn't going to be wondering as much the stress of everyday life as much when you are trying to go to bed.
So if a person who wants to get high testosterone should should be taking ashwagandha, considering the
Yes,
fact that he would become
yes,
numb
they
to
should.
stress.
Before
Okay.
bed,
Okay,
I
that is the
recommend
best time.
ashwagandha. There's another thing you could take called tongue. Make sure that the brand you buy is lab tested, or else because it's often high in heavy metals, so you want it to be lab tested to
Hmm.
make sure it's not. And then there's also zinc. Zinc supports the integrity of your balls. It helps your balls really work effectively how they should be working. D3, D3 is used inside of your balls to make testosterone.
Hmm.
And then this one, I'm sure your audience doesn't need it. Magnesium. Magnesium is really high in Indian diets. There's oftentimes where Indians don't need magnesium as much, but if you are low in magnesium, what it's going to do is it's going to help convert D3 to testosterone inside of your balls, and it's also going to support hydration. I mentioned earlier you need to be hydrated when you are working out. So if you are low in magnesium, then you should be supplementing with it.
What about DHT? I've heard that if you take creatine, it will increase your DHT, and when you just start increasing your testosterone, DHT will also increase. And there is this common myth, I don't know if this is a myth or a reality, that DHT causes hair loss. Is that true?
DHT does in fact cause hair loss,
It does.
but yes, it does. It, but if your genetics don't have hair loss in them, so how you look at that is you look at your mom's father if he has hair loss. If he does not have hair loss, then you don't have to worry about DHT. It's not going to cause you to lose hair. But the thing I'd say to that is if you are aiming for higher testosterone, the version of yourself with higher testosterone and with hair loss, you'd way rather be than the version of yourself without higher testosterone and without hair loss.
Does taking DHT blockers help? Or should we take DHT blockers?
No, you should not take DHT blockers because DHT is one of the hormones that, or one of the parts of testosterone that masculinizes you. So it deepens your voice. As you can tell, I don't have hair loss, and what I've heard plenty of times is I have a pretty deep voice. It does a few other things within your body, but the point is you really shouldn't take any DHT blockers because it is one of the effective parts of testosterone.
Damn, I didn't know that, man. I used to take DHT blockers. Look at this.
Well,
I'm going to stop
yeah,
taking it now. And let me
yeah, I
show
would
you
not be
how
taking it.
what supplements I take. Uh, I cannot find it here. Maybe up there. Yeah. Okay. So this is vitamin D3. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah, I used to take this 2 times every day, like two tablets every day, and I
What's
I, I can
the dosage on it?
600 IU.
600 IU.
Yeah,
You took 200, 2 capsules a day.
is that good or
You,
something's bad?
that's pretty low because you
Okay.
could get an effect from that, but you really want to be in the sunlight a lot if you're taking that. So I take 5,000 IUs a day,
Okay.
but 600 IUs, so 1,200 IUs a day, what you're doing is going to obviously help, and I'm sure you've experienced benefits
Yeah.
from it, but I recommend striving for around, I recommend 5,000, but with K2, 5,000 with K2. K2 is going to help it stay out of
Hmm.
your bloodstream, not get stuck in your bloodstream, and but 1,200 could have effects, and it really just depends on the individual. You're getting less D3 you need, less sunlight, you're getting more D3 you need.
What about omega 3? I also take fish oil every single day. Is that good for your
Omega
testosterone?
3.
Yeah.
So fish oil actually increases your sex hormone binding globulin, so it doesn't increase your testosterone and it actually binds up a bit of your testosterone. But I do recommend taking it because it is one of the number one factors in people's longevity. They did a study on com- this isn't telling people to smoke or anything, but they did a study comparing people who are low on omega 3 and people who smoke, and being low on omega-3 is equally bad to your health
Okay.
as smoking. It has the same amount of health consequences.
Okay.
So that's a great thing that you're taking it. Great thing if people take it, but it's not necessarily for testosterone.
But yeah, you still recommend it, right? It improves your hair quality, improves your skin quality, and overall life experience. I don't know.
I believe it does. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, you're probably right on that.
Let's go, man. Okay, so you said BPA decreases testosterone. That's one
Yes.
thing, and processed food decreases testosterone. That's another thing. What are the other common factors that people usually don't think about, and those factors are actually reducing their testosterone? What are the common factors?
So I mentioned BPAs.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize that there's BPAs inside of their body wash or cologne have phthalates. Most things have phthalates that you put on your body that smell good. So you really want to avoid any phthalates. You could order anything that's phthalate free. I recommend making sure it's 100% natural. That's going to be fine for your testosterone. And then there's a few other things. Your shower temperature, if you have it extremely hot, your balls don't want to be in this environment. Your balls are the only organ that's outside of your body because they need to maintain a cooler temperature. So if you think of things that are going to be increasing your balls to an extremely hot temperature, then what you should do is go ahead and just don't do that. Reduce the temperature. A lot of people question this when I mention it. Sauna actually allows you to sweat out BPAs. So a lot of people say you can't sweat out toxins, and well, your BPA, your sweat is hyper concentrated in BPAs if you have a lot of BPAs in your body, and that's considered a toxin. So when you sweat out BPAs, it's going to not have it playing a role on your androgen receptor, blocking your testosterone from playing its role. So I recommend the sauna and have something cool near your balls when you're doing that just to maintain that temperature that we are aiming for.
Okay.
Real quick, sleep. Aim for around 8 to 9 hours. Sleep is where your body produces its testosterone. Your testosterone is going to be highest in the morning when you first wake up after sleeping. So aim for around 8 to 9 hours of sleep.
I've also heard that plastic bottle decreases testosterone because it includes BPA. But there are some bottles in India. Like my parents used to give me a plastic bottle and they say, ki, Beta, it's BPA free. You can take it. And I was like, nah, no, mother. I want a steel bottle. There is my bottle right there. And the thing is, that bottle is insulated. So do you think that insulated bottle also includes BPA?
Well, I mean, it's in a plastic bottle, so a lot of people think they're being all healthy drinking purified water or whatever the water advertises, but the truth is they're drinking out of a plastic bottle. What do you think's getting in the water? The thing that you don't want inside of your body. It's better off to just purify your water at home.
Hmm, that makes sense. Okay, how can a person optimize their environment for high testosterone?
Optimizing your testosterone through your environment. First thing you're going to do, mentioned a few times, you're going to eliminate the plastics.
All of them.
Second, in the morning, you're going to get sunlight. That sunlight in the morning to one, activate your circadian rhythm. So you need about 2 minutes of sunlight in the morning. Circadian rhythm is your body's clock to get all your organs functioning, get everything going. It's going to really energize you for the day. And then it's also going to help your transition to sleep that night. And then you also aim for around 2 minutes in the sun every single morning, and then 30 minutes of sun throughout the rest of the day. That's going to be my recommendation for that.
Hmm.
And then your diet, I recommend just to avoid sugars, aim for higher cholesterol. Actually, cholesterol is also used in your balls to make testosterone, and the the idea that cholesterol increases your risk of a heart attack, heart issues is a complete myth. There's never been a study that's proved that. If anybody wants to look, you won't find one. If you do find one, please go ahead and send it to me because there isn't.
Right.
Your shower temperature, I mentioned lukewarm water. You don't want it too hot. You don't want to microwave your balls inside of the shower.
Right. So you need to keep your balls cool.
Yes.
Hmm.
And then one other thing, breathing fully. Make sure when you inhale, you inhale all the way throughout your body, all the way down to your balls. Your stomach should puff out, and then your chest should collapse when you do inhale back or exhale back out. So really make sure you're breathing extremely deep. And what this is going to do is just allow your body to function properly once again. And when you're people who overbreathe only have 60% of their oxygen reaching their organs. So the reason they're overbreathing is because they're panting out of their mouth. They're not inhaling deep into their balls. That's really going to slow down your breathing process, let you get the proper amount of carbon dioxide inside of your body. Carbon dioxide is important, but when there's too much, then it causes issues. So,
So keeping your balls cool increases your testosterone. And you said sunlight is important. What about sunning
yes.
your balls? Does sunning your balls increases our testosterone?
So I've been asked this a few times. I've never done it, and the reason I've never done it is because it doesn't make much sense. The location that you're sunning doesn't have as much of an impact as getting the sun itself. So what the sun is going to do anywhere on your skin, you could get vitamin D from the sun. So whether you're sunning your balls or sunning your arm, whatever, it's going to have the same role. And then the other idea, your circadian rhythm is through the retinas of your eye. So there's really no need.
I should think, I also, I am thinking that sunning your balls increases your testosterone because I usually think about this one analogy that is like our ancestor, the caveman time. They used to
Yeah.
wear no clothes. They were almost naked. And the sunlight was almost always on their balls or like on their full skin. Not their arms, not like their skin was not covered. And they had huge testosterone. Okay, they had different diets, they had different environment. So because of the extreme sun exposure to their skin, I think that exposure to your balls might increase your testosterone because you're getting vitamin D straight to your D.
See, it very well might. And that's my reasoning behind a lot of things. I completely agree with that reasoning. So you may be right. Don't think it's been studied yet. I don't think they've had people lay out in the sun with their balls out to test their testosterone yet.
Actually feels good. I've done it.
So there really is no one-sided answer for this question. So, but that was my reasoning behind
Hmm.
thinking that it might be a bit excessive, but it also might have an effect.
Okay, so one common question that we have a lot in India: does eating soy products decrease your testosterone?
You really want to avoid excess soy. So if you're getting too much soy, it's going to prevent your stomach from playing its role. So my thing with soy is really to just avoid having too much of it, and it shouldn't be too hard to avoid. The the bigger issue is processed foods and sugars. Those are going to have much more of a negative consequence than any soy.
I've heard that soya products like soya chunks, and we have a thing in India called soya chap and soy protein. Uh, these types of products includes estrogen, and I think that if you consume any soy product in any amount, it will increase your estrogen. Is that true or is that false?
That is true, but it's not as much. It's a very minimal amount. So that's why I do say to avoid it, but if you have it once a week or in moderation, very rarely, then it's not going to have a major effect on you. It's just if it's a staple on your diet, something that you're eating consistently, that's when it becomes more of an issue.
So it is a problem if you start eating it daily.
Yes.
I had made a video on this and used to get so hit कि uh, oh, soy products is important, soy chunks have more protein and it is cheap. But I used to think कि if you're eating any soy product in any amount, it increases your testosterone because there is this myth going around in India. If you eat soy, you will get man boobs. You will develop gyno. And I used to eat soy, a lot of soy. I stopped it. I don't eat it anymore. What's your opinion on that? Does soy actually gives you man boobs?
I mean, anything that increases your estrogen does in fact give you man boobs if it's paired with other things. So eating soy alone won't give you man boobs, but if you pair that with a few other things that increase your estrogen inside of your environment, then it's going to stack up over time and give you man boobs. I will mention that estrogen itself isn't bad for your body. You want your testosterone to be converted to estrogen. Your body converts, it's a 20-to-1 ratio so for every 20 nanograms a deciliter of testosterone, you should get 1 nanogram of a deciliter of estrogen inside of your body. And that conversion is what masculinizes you,
Hmm.
but all external estrogen is the bad part. So if you're not getting it from your body making it, then it's bad for you. You shouldn't be having it inside of your body. It's only playing the negative sides of estrogen. It's not masculinizing you. It's giving you man boobs. It's having giving you female characteristics.
What was your experience when you were increasing your testosterone? What What are the things that helped you the most, and what are the things that you tried but it was like, ah man, I cannot be asked, man. It's a bother for me, so I'll just ignore it. I'll just focus on the main thing, which is giving me the most results.
The first thing I mentioned earlier, is sugar, removing sugar from your diet. I removed sugar from my diet and I really did notice a big difference before and after. I try to avoid almost all sugar now. I don't think it has any benefits. I'd say I get sugar from fruit. That's
Mm-hmm.
the one exception for
Right.
sugars, and then honey too. Honey isn't bad for your testosterone, so fruit and honey is fine to get your sugars from. And that was the main thing I did that boosted my testosterone. Everything else I also did, because all these things stack up, they're micro changes. I'd say sunlight is another big thing. Sunlight made a big difference. And then every one of these things stack up that I've mentioned. So I'd say just the experience as a whole and really focusing on every minor factor that most people say don't matter is really what's going to be the difference between a higher testosterone level and a mediocre testosterone level.
What about diet drinks like Diet Coke, Gatorade, and Prime? What about these?
Yeah,
They contain zero sugar, right? But I don't drink them. I still don't drink because I think they have preservatives and sweeteners, which I don't think is healthy for us. What's your opinion?
yep. I'd say don't drink them at all. I'd honestly say I'd recommend drinking the sugary drink over the diet drink, because these diet drinks, I mean, you look at the back of it, look at the list of ingredients, and like Google, just Google a random ingredient. There's going to be nothing on the internet with some of these ingredients. You're going to be thinking, what the hell? What am I putting in my body? You don't know if three-quarters of these things are crashing your testosterone. humans aren't made to consume them, so they probably are crashing your testosterone. Just avoid that in general.
Like when I turned the turned the drink and I saw the ingredients, I usually don't. I just see how much calories, how much sugar out, and it just shows zero calories, zero sugar, and like 1 gram of sodium, 300 grams of sodium, or something. I don't know. I never looked at the ingredients of these drinks. Next time I'll make sure to do that.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty bad to have.
So one thing I've noticed in India, a lot of people ask that doing MMA, doing boxing increases the testosterone. And I think, yeah, it does because you're punching a guy and you're getting punched. It enrages you when you lost, right?
Yeah.
And it gives you an urge to train more, to train harder, and next time conquer that guy or defeat that guy or something. So I think that, yeah, doing boxing, doing MMA, doing any sort of martial arts increases your testosterone. What's your opinion on that?
I've actually mentioned this before, and I believe it's the best physical activity you could do to increase your testosterone. You're getting the physical part in, and then I mentioned earlier the role of testosterone in nature. It's to compete with other men for the female. So competition really stimulates testosterone inside of your body. Fighting is the prime example of testosterone, so you could think of that as the best way to increase your testosterone through a physical activity.
So it is better than lifting heavy weights.
It is, I would say.
Okay, so how do we become more masculine? Okay, we have the first answer, that is increase your testosterone. That's it. And what else? Competition is there. What else?
Other than increasing your testosterone, I would say the main thing is knowledge, understanding how to react to every situation and go about every situation, mainly by reading books on psychology. I read every single morning because I want to be more capable in whatever situation I end up in. And I believe being masculine is largely being capable in as many situations as possible, and then also being a giver, giving out to other people and helping people out. So if you focus on your success, and I believe you need to become successful to really to have a genuine impact on people. So I believe if you really strive for success, then you could have much more of an impact on people and be much more masculine and allow women to be feminine around you than if you do not strive for success, then you're not going to be a masculine individual.
You have a deep voice, man. Just screams masculinity and not testosterone.
Yeah, about that's one thing I'd say. I never got called masculine before I worked on my testosterone. And this last year, about it was a year ago, I went to college and I heard so many people tell me, dude, you're the most masculine individual I've met.
You actually look
And it's
that
pretty,
like that guy in Rocky, that Russian guy, the Russian boxer.
do I?
You too, man. Scary,
I haven't heard that one
masculine.
before. Yeah, but I found that funny, that yeah, boost your testosterone and people genuinely notice.
Do you have any questions for me? Anything you want to ask me? Anything you want to know?
What do you think helped your testosterone the most?
Every single morning, I take a cold shower and then I go to my terrace and I just get almost completely naked. I just wear a pair of shorts and then just take sunlight for 30 minutes. Sometimes sun my
Yeah.
balls. And yeah, that when I did that, bro, I had erections throughout the day. When I went to college, random erection. When I did that, and I took this and two of these. I think these were the major things that increased my testosterone. I've actually never checked my testosterone. I never got tested. I'm going to do that.
Okay.
How do you do that actually? Do you take a blood test or something?
Yeah, you get a blood test done. It shouldn't be that expensive. You could
Yeah.
You could either order them online, or I'm not sure how it works in India, or I think your doctor could order them for you. I
Okay.
assume that'd be the easier method. Just going
Okay.
to your doctor and saying, "Hey, I want to increase my testosterone, or I want to test my testosterone," and
Hmm.
then just have it as a baseline so you could go from there.
But I actually felt the symptoms of high testosterone. So yeah, I think those things are helping me to increase the testosterone. I'm going to get it checked very soon.
Yeah, something I've noticed is I did MMA, and I don't think I've seen a person who sticks with MMA who I look at and would think they have low testosterone. Normally, you could kind of tell by how a person acts and how they look, their
Hmm.
testosterone. And I mentioned MMA or fighting increasing your testosterone.
I forgot to ask you one question in the beginning. I ask this one question with every guest that I have. What was your purpose behind starting your YouTube channel?
Purpose behind starting my YouTube channel was really just to educate as much people as possible, and in return make sure my knowledge is up to par. By I enjoy looking at studies and looking at scientific stuff to really understand what exactly is impacting us in our life and what exactly makes our life better. So my point of that was to give myself a reason behind this, that other than to just educate myself, now I could spread the knowledge that I find out to people who are like me, who want to increase their health, increase areas of their life, just make their life better.
But I would say thank you for starting your YouTube channel because it has helped me. I'm a constant watcher of your channel. I'm going to watch that recent video that you're going to post. I'm excited for it. That hydration video.
Yes. Awesome.
Last question. If you could go 2 years back in time and you could look at young Jacob and give him some advice, what would you say to him?
I'm happy in the direction my actions have taken me. But what I tell myself is I should have done more research and educate myself and start posting these videos sooner, because my main excuse back then was my age. Would say, "Oh, nobody wants to listen to me. I'm young." But what I didn't realize is I really should have just gotten repetitions in on spreading my knowledge, and I should have been consuming more knowledge back then. I think you need to consume enough knowledge and have enough knowledge if you want to educate others. So that's my one wish, that I spent more time consuming knowledge, replace that time that I was gaming with learning and spreading.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Jacob, thanks for coming here. Thanks for educating us
Thank
about
you for having me.
testosterone.
I enjoyed having some interesting questions to think about.
I learned a lot from you, man. And I
I'm
will
I'm
keep
gonna go
learning.
ahead and do some more research on sunning your balls. I'm curious if I could find
Yeah,
something
get me back.
on that.
Get me back on that, man. I need to search. If there is a study that it decreases your testosterone, I'll be angry, man. Yeah. Where can people find you?
People can find me at Jacob Ruecker Improvement on YouTube. I'll go ahead and comment on the video so you could see my channel through that comment. And
Hmm.
then my Instagram is also inside of my channel bio. So if you want to message me directly, then you could go to my Instagram and I answer whatever questions people have.
I'll put your channel link in the description and your Instagram also.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for coming, man. It's been a pleasure.